Good morning, my friends, wherever you may be in the world today. Alan Clements here from Hawaii. Today, November 16th, 2021, this is part 7 in this series, The Dharma Life, Reflections on 5 Decades of Adventure, the pitfalls, the lessons in progress, some of the blind spots, some of the hopes, and today's dreams. I hope you're well wherever you may be. A few announcements before I dive into this totally extemporaneous title, feel, rebirthing. Very high in my heart today, this concept, not the concept, the psychic, intuitive, cognitive intimacy of rebirthing as a phenomenology, a yoga, an asana. Yeah, the asana, the Dharma asana of consciously rebirthing through the time wave continuum of what we're in right now. Thisness. And I do not have a handle on any of it. It's way deep inside through the transfilterization of a moderate-sized dose of psilocybin this morning, along with an extended period of yoga and meditation and reflection. And so here I sit, thank you for tuning in, and I'd like to just basically express myself freely and see where it goes. Now, a few announcements, if I may. This will be the final series in these live streams and podcasts. I think on Saturday will be my final one. Not ending them, but I'm going to just share when I feel motivated. It may be every day, it may be once a week, it may be every other day, it may be, I don't know. I will continue, but I want to really listen to the fidelity of an instinct right now on creative choice making. I don't want to follow anything on a regular basis except everything, if you know what I mean. And I have some other things that I wish to present and share. We are in the final stages of bringing online the World Dharma 2.0 video non-trans course, 38 videos that were filmed and beautifully edited by the beloved Gemma McGovern and brought forth through 2 of my beloved supporters, Terry and Ian in Italy. Thank you from my heart. We're going to present this video course freely. No obstacles, no sign up, just simply freely. So that's coming out soon. And I have a children's book that I wrote. I'm very happy about that. My beloved friend in Bali, Heidi Gold, is illustrating. That will be soon. I will see it and we will publish it and offer it as a gift to the world through online retailers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And if you want a copy for free, I'm happy to do what I can to provide a PDF file for it. But I would like to offer it to the children of the world and to the parents of these children and to the unborn. I'm very taken in by this, the unborn. Now, you know, here in Maui, I'm in hospice, and I know it has a lot of connotations it did for me prior to being in hospice, until I began to learn more about the intimacy of these angels that support the process of an individual in this transition from moving and thinking and relating and all the things that one does when they're alive, in the transition to a final breath, into whatever the belief systems are that hold you and hold me in this context of a deeper, more intimate molecular physics called the reality of time and space that we're embedded in. You know, beyond our beliefs, there is this existence that holds us. Now, for me, as a meditator in the tradition attributed to the Buddha, which I'm always reluctant to say, but in honor of this beloved man and his wife Yasodhara and the Sangha, those beloveds, those radical psychonauts that dedicated their existences, according to these teachings, to the evolution, the creative evolution of consciousness. Wow. And the creative evolution, to me, is the soul of this concept of rebirthing. Yes, death is clearly a temporary ending of a temporary process in the way in which we know it. But from a cognitive and a meditative level, the word continuum is forever present in one's mindfulness as more of the guiding principle that one feels and sees and begins to know through their own direct experience, that we're living in the simultaneity of an ideation and then there's a reality. The continuum of conditions based upon laws and principles, and then the ideation that we impose upon the conditions, called belief systems, perceptions, and the fusion of an identity with these perceptions that lock us into the cul-de-sac of an illusion. An agreed upon belief system, very much like a border between a country, that because there's an agreement and a preoccupation of that agreement, there is the belief that we have a true separation between a country, but obviously from the land point of view, there is no border between Canada and America. There is no distinction between the Atlantic and the Pacific. There is the oceans, and the ocean on a direct experiential level is what? Is the experience of coolness or warmth or pressure, vibration, heat. This direct experience, these conditions can be directly experienced, this continuum. And this is where, in my experience of being in hospice, which is brought front and center based upon my own diagnoses of this, the aortic aneurysm, and being here in hospice in Hawaii, the concept of living and aging and illness and medical intervention and death and dying and all the various things that come with these, I want to be very careful with the word conventional ideations that are very much an agreed upon set of illusions, very much like talking about the Atlantic and the Pacific and the Indian Oceans. They're relatives, truths, and we imbue into those relative truths histories, nationalities, events. We all know that many things that we read and hear are illusions about illusions. The misinformation that's going around the world today on so many multiple levels, right? Misinformation, disinformation, propaganda and mind control, the propaganda of the collective, the misinformation of the existential. How do we, this is where Dhamma comes in and the concept of rebirth. And if you're following me, for me in hospice, you really feel these angels and yourself talking about the edge of your own perception. And that's the beauty for me of being in an intimate dialogue in hospice and talking about living, not about dying. Because all that's being asked is to share the symptoms, not just simply the medical symptoms, but the emotional symptoms. And I don't mean to use the word symptoms here as negative attributes of the process of biological cognitive collapse called aging, illness, disease, or death, but the symptoms of your own awakening. The reversal of it being a negative assessment to a positive transformational flowering, rebirthing. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to here, is rebirthing. And I love the interplay between, yes, ideation is real and important, but to live in the illusion of things, as it's been said, is to miss the essence of that illusion, the direct taste of love. Not the idea of love, the direct taste. The direct taste. And that's the beauty for me of meditation. And again, coming back to the rebirthing concept, the direct taste of the conditions of flowering. Taking the pornography, the misinformation, the fear, the porn out of the process of being. And death to me, as I've seen it up close now, not really up close, but just, the medical assessment. And I love my doctors and nurse clinicians and the angels in hospice. Blessed am I. But how interesting it is to see the interface of our belief systems not clash, because I'm being fully respected in, please share the symptoms of your awakening. And the concept of rebirth to me is so incredibly important, and the psychic intuitive. Now, halfway through, I'm just so in a reflective state about the entirety as best as I can see it from the myopia of my own identity and skill set. But I'm looking way back in 71, just on the serendipity of chance. I'm on a moderately high dose of acid. I'm painting full time in my shared home with my friends who I've known since early school days, and just channeling my interiority onto the canvases of my confusion. And I still have these paintings, some of them that weren't sold. They're in my mom and dad's attic now, that's owned and lived in by my brother's son and his wife. And I was there recently, and I saw these pictures of ideation, expression, and confusion on the rebirthing of my life over the years. And it came way back to 1970 and 1971, and I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I'm on this moderately high dose of acid, and I go into a bookstore. Why did I go into a bookstore, I'm thinking today? Because I wanted to know what I didn't know. There was a doubt about the educational process, the ideation that I was familiar with. I wanted to discern something new, fresh, alive, dynamic, gave me the courage to live and dream and breathe on through the panic and the pornography of war and misinformation. And I wanted some alignment. I wanted to belong to something more alive. And it was really in retrospect, it was the lightning beam, the laser beam, the psychic intuitive beam that was really what was going on there, that I trusted and believed in. Are you with me? Do you believe enough in your own psychic intuitive sensibilities to transcend the ocean of convenience and ideation and familiarity and the psychology of anxiety and stress and trauma and war and doubt and totalitarianism and all the things that go on with current time phenomenology? Yes, they're real, but yes, there are those others like you and I feel myself, who are definitely living in a different dimension of human existence within the parallel universe of simultaneity. Dimensions upon dimensions intersecting, black and white holes of parallel universes within one's own lifetime, within one's own consciousness. In that exploration is intrinsic in my use of the word rebirth. And I'm trying to share what I just shared with you and what I'm sharing with me to my hospice angels recently. And there is this gift of feeling just that there's an environment where you can open your heart and mind to the edge of your own being. And I'm coming back and sweeping back to this online World Dharma 2.0 course. It's a conversation out of the bottle about 50 years of intimate feeling and looking and learning and traveling and struggling, and all the things that I'm trying to communicate in this series have been communicated over a number of months in these videos. I hope they're evergreen. They are what they are. I'll supplement them. But they're really about the fostering, the ignition, the support for you and the support for the children, the unborn, for me, to keep on pushing on in the process of rebirthing. Refuse to participate is my mantra to myself in the ideation of fear, in the ideation of panic, in the ideation of complexity and struggling, and do all that we possibly can to keep on keeping on, right? Rebirthing as the phenomenology of who we are today. And I want to close with that, is reinvent the language of your transformational awakening. Don't buy into any belief system that feels intuitively truthful. Drop down into the virgin nature of your own interiority and find words and language and musicality to the superstring theory of your own unique expression of heart. But the point here in the rebirthing phenomenology for me is that adventure is more important than everything and everything. The high adventure in the psychic intuitive allows me access to deeper navigational tools to hold the steering wheel, so to speak, and to keep the sails of this mystical ship moving in the winds of timelessness across the oceans of fear and prediction and calamity and samsara's waves of right and wrong and good and bad, where we invent and we fear the illusions made real on the canvas of terror by dictators and tyranny and terrorism. The history books, the oceans are filled with the blood of this morass of wrongness. And yes, we keep on pushing on. And to me, the concept isn't living and dying anymore. It's about rebirthing and trusting in that soul essence to listen. Let us teach the children how to listen to themselves, not to listen to the teachers, and to rememberize the propaganda of memorizing the propaganda. Break out of the box of these dedicated delusions. And to me, the concept of rebirthing and the psychic intuitive allows for the virginity and the adventure and the awakening of this mystery made real every minute of our lives, called consciousness in context. Wow, the molecules and meditation and yoga and oxygenation of present time being always delivers me to this virginal, organic sense of I'm alive. I'm in present phenomenology. I don't want to just be ordinary today. I don't want to buy and think and fear and desire. I don't want to just simply do my journal on the prediction of my shared language over many years. I want to awaken to something completely new and foreign. I want to inhabit new galaxies, new dimensions of interiority, and yes, I'll close here. fight for the freedom of one's own belief at the core level of your own being. What does freedom mean to you? And what is intrinsically alive at that edge for you? As you wish to be free, where do you feel responsible to other life forms and their struggle and their quest for freedom too? And the Bodhisattva spirit, a dedication to the high adventure of doing all that we possibly can to lend a hand, to lend an ear, to lend money and support and shelter and food and clothing and intimacy and touch and silence and words. I love these angels in my hospice life. They're giving me and supporting me in a dialogue about the mystical. And I think therein lies, call you or call me or call us dreamers, but so be it. I pray that there's more and more of us in this great world called planet Earth at this time in evolution that rise higher and higher into a mystical presence where the beautification of consciousness is the priority over the accumulation of wealth and form and stuff and the competition of right and wrong and all the things that come through racism and obedience to disobedience to totalitarianism. May we break free of all these delusions, these strange asteroids of misinformation. May we overcome prejudice and bias and anger and greed. Today is simply a prayer for all of us, everyone in need, a prayer for the children, a prayer for the unborn, a prayer for life in all forms, everywhere, in all dimensions, seen and unseen. May we radiate to the best of our heart's capacity a loving kindness coupled with a generosity to share and to give and to protect and to elevate life everywhere and to remove from this tapestry of infinity these configurations, these formations of fear, greed, anger, delusion, judgment, blame, separation. May we learn the most intimate physics of how we are generating here in this tapestry unrecognized waves of suffering. May this suffering cease. Rebirthing, how we take the illusions out of living and bring the radiance of joy and happiness and gifting as presents to whomever we see everywhere, on the beach, on the sidewalks, even in our dream time. How do we gift ourselves with the best of ourselves? So from my heart to yours, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of my life. Today I think is Wednesday, I'm not sure. I've lost track, and Saturday will be my final day of everyday live streams and everyday podcasts, and I will only speak when I feel moved, whenever that may be. So from my heart to yours, thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.